What's up, guys? It is Hype, episode 6, August 5th, 2013. Welcome, everybody. Today, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Elder Scrolls Online. It was recently featured at QuakeCon, and they showed off a lot of gameplay footage, including the first-person perspective of the game. I think it has a lot of potential to be a really interesting MMO and attract some people because of the first-person perspective in the game. A lot of Skyrim fans will flock to that, and a lot of MMO players might flock to it as well because it's different. It's a different perspective being able to play in first person. Now, there is a third person available in the game, but I think that would be utilized a little bit more with like PvP or maybe dungeons, trying to be a little bit more aware of your surroundings and stuff. But as far as questing and stuff and running around with your friends, I think first person would be the way to go and a lot of fun. So the question is, though, will this MMO be around after a few months of release? It's slated for a spring 2014 release, and like a lot of these new MMOs that come out, they have a really robust community that likes to check them out right when the game comes out. And it tends to dissipate after that, or maybe they find some kind of flaw in the economy, like Neverwinter Nights, and it just kind of kills the game off and leaves a bitter taste in everyone's mouth. Hopefully, Elder Scrolls won't be like that. I know they have a really great community behind a lot of their games, especially on Twitch TV and YouTube. So I think like that will be very robust, and I think so far from what I've seen, it will attract a lot of the Elder Scrolls fan base to this game. There are a few things that I'll talk about in the video that, this episode, that kind of turned me off. Well, maybe just like one or two things, but otherwise, for the most part, it's all pretty damn positive stuff here. So let's cover some of the highlights that I saw from the QuakeCon footage. Let's check it out. So just going through some of the footage, there was a very robust character creator, lots of sliders and things like that. There's multiple factions you're going to be able to choose from, and that's kind of where the story comes into place. The game will be set in the continent of Tamriel, and will feature a very interesting antagonist named Prince Molag Bale. And he's attempting to pull all of Tamriel back into his realm, which is kind of an interesting plot. He's going to be the main guy. Now, most of the content will be available to the fan base or the characters in the game, but some of it will be locked off, and that is for future expansions down the line. So they're already thinking about that ahead of time, which is fantastic. The game will be set a full millennium ahead of or prior to Skyrim, and 800 years before Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. So a little bit of history behind the game there for you. Now, one thing that I said that I really enjoyed about the gameplay footage is that it has first person. And for me, that's something that might actually attract me to this MMO. I haven't played a first-person MMO ever. And I really find that to be more enjoyable and engaging when you have a different kind of perspective for a game like that. It's not the typical third person, and you can see all your surroundings. Now, you can use that feature. That feature is in the game, but I like the fact that you can see what the person that's coming at you is attacking you with. You can block them. It's much more up close and in your face kind of a feel. With that being said, there's also a block feature in the game, which I think is also very cool to have that continued attack and block kind of feature with your hands up on the screen. That's very Elder Scrolls, and I'm glad that they decided to go with that route, because I know previous gameplay footage, that really wasn't being shown off at all, and people were kind of like, oh, this is just going to be like another WoW clone kind of a thing. And now it's not really appearing to be that way, so very cool. A little bit about the controls. They mentioned that it's going to be very first-person shooter-friendly controls. So, anyone who is going to be like a archer or a mage or something will probably find the controls very friendly if they've played any first-person shooters. So I thought that was a nice little feature that they thought about that. That'll be very user-friendly for anyone to just pick up the game and start playing it and check it out. Also, there is going to be lore books all around the world. Now, what I mean by that is all of Tamriel is supposed to be, all of Tamriel that's available is supposed to be explorable. So typical kind of Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, you're going to have a compass on the top of the screen, and you're going to be able to see everything that's in your relative position and within a certain range, I guess. And you'll be able to actually head to like a new cave or something like that. And within these caves and different places that you're exploring within Tamriel, you're going to be able to find these lore books, which will have a little bit more background and history about the game, and you can collect them. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and that kind of gives you something else to strive for while you're out there looking around. There's also crystals and other things that you can get when you're exploring that. If you get like 3 in a zone, or like maybe it's 5 in a zone, you'll be able to get a skill point and spend that skill point on your character, which is pretty cool. So the game is very much rewarding you for exploring. You're getting XP, you're getting crystals and things like that, which will help you level up. So they really want you to just get in there and just look around and have a good time. So very cool. Now they are introducing the typical factions from Elder Scrolls. We're talking the Mages Guild, the Fighters Guild. You can be a werewolf, a vampire, that kind of a thing, and have a different storyline for that. So it's very cool to see that kind of stuff come back, and you'll be able to participate in different quests, maybe with some friends and stuff, just like you could with like Skyrim. So very cool. The game will be fully voice acted. I noticed in the footage that the facial expressions aren't exactly the same, and the close-ups of the conversations aren't typical of the previous single-player games, but that's okay. I mean, I liked the fact that they added in voice acting, and it kind of gets you into that character and the person you're talking to in that whole conversation, which is great. And hopefully they'll have multiple choices. I do like, from what I've seen, the choice wheel is kind of there. Hopefully that will be in the game, where you can make different choices that might have different outcomes on certain quests just by your conversation that you had with an NPC. Hopefully that will be the case. They're also making sure that fast travel is still in the game. Now, I think the way fast travel works is anywhere that you've previously been to, you can fast travel to. So it won't be like a new zone. I think you're going to need to head to that zone and find the actual fast travel point within the new zone and really explore it that way. But once you've already gone into a zone and found the actual fast travel point, you're going to be able to just click back and go to that zone at free will, which is great. Also, they've added in the whole crouching sneak crits thing, which is my favorite thing in Elder Scrolls Skyrim. I played a thief, and I love the fact that I could sneak up behind people and slit their throats and stuff. I don't know if there's going to be like a kill cam kind of a system in the game, but I noticed that there will be crits based on how you approach your enemy. Also with the bow crits as well, but personally I enjoyed the dagger crits the most because you got the most bonus. And almost every time you could one-shot just about everything, including dragons, if you approach them correctly. So, love that in Skyrim. I'm glad to see that that will be in Elder Scrolls Online, and I think it will be a very interesting dynamic if you have like a guild of thieves or a clan of thieves, so to speak, and you approach a camp and everyone stealthily takes out an entire camp or something like that. I think that will be really cool. I think that'll be really interesting and add a different dynamic to how you play the game with your friends that might have similar classes or different classes, that kind of a thing. So very cool. Now they mentioned any character or class. I guess it's really a classless system. Any character can use any weapon in the game and any armor in the game, and I'm guessing that will work similar to Elder Scrolls, where you use those weapons and you become more proficient. So I'm personally excited for that. I think that's great because a lot of times I feel like in MMOs I'm locked into that character, and if I want to have a different experience, I have to make a whole new character, and that's not the case in this game. If I want to have a whole new experience, I can just pick up an iron mace and go practice with it and build up my skill. Or let's say we need a tank. That will allow me to maybe switch off my armor and throw on some other, heavier, beefy armor and be a tank for the group. Now, I'm not sure how robust that will be with your points. I'm sure you're going to be limited, very limited on how many points you can have to spend. So if you do have like a hybrid class, you're not going to be, like the master of that particular class. You're going to be like kind of like a jack of all trades, kind of multi-classing, you know what I'm saying? Between those two classes, but not really as proficient as you could be if you decided to just master that class. So Obviously, they're gonna have the compass system I mentioned before, which I loved. I personally in Skyrim, I would just go around and walk through the world and say, okay, I'm on the south end of the main map. I'm going to head north, and I'm gonna hit everything I can in my northern path. And I would hit up every cave, every shrine, that kind of a thing. And as soon as I got out of the cave, okay, continue north. And that was a lot of fun for me. I really got sucked into the world, and I felt that that was a crucial part that kept me playing Skyrim for over 150 hours. So now they are going to have a awesome LFG or looking for group system, and it's very robust. You can select if you want to do a dungeon or just form a group to do questing in a certain area. The thing that I like about it the most, though, is that you don't need to like go run around and find your friends. You can say once your group is formed that you can teleport to the nearest friendly, and if they're in a hostile situation, it'll actually teleport you to the closest, safest point, so you can kind of go in and help out at your free will, and you don't have to risk getting hurt yourself. So. Other than that, they showed off a lot of this dungeon in the QuakeCon footage, and I thought it looked pretty cool. I felt like overall with the game, um, that okay. Let me give you an example. Like, let's say Skyrim, you felt more engaged and kind of locked into your target. Like you knew that that guy was going to come at you, and I don't know. You just felt like you had to block certain people at a certain time and attack them, and it was all about timing. This one is just like there's a lot more chaos going on, especially in the dungeons. So you might want to consider using third person to kind of have your situational awareness up there. But I don't know. It seems like kind of flighty, like you can like the hitboxes are kind of big. It looked like, and they're not really locked into you. I don't know. I kind of want to see them kind of tighten up the combat a little bit. It looks cool. Looks like it has tons of potential, and there's lots of time before the game actually comes out. But I would just like that's my only gripe. It just seems like it's a little like floaty kind of a thing, and that's typical of an MMO. But I really would like to see the combat really tightened up, and you can really feel like you're in an awesome sword fight, and there's sparks flying off, and when you block, it's really like engaging, and it feels like you're actually in like a battle for your life, and you could die. It just felt like I got to kill this guy. He's whacking on me. I'm hitting him. The other guy's hitting me behind. I'm just doing that. In like Skyrim, if you play it on harder difficulties, like you need to really plan out your attack. Otherwise, you're gonna die instantly if you're attacking 3 or 4 foes. Or you're gonna need to like throw down an attack or a trap or conjure some kind of creature. This one, they showed some footage of the guy snuck into a camp. He picked off one with a bow, and then he pulled out his weapons, and he was just hitting like the class that was going to hurt him the most, while the other guy was just hitting him in the back. And he's just like, dude. And there wasn't really any like kind of connection there. Like there wasn't like the guy bringing up his sword to block or something like that. There wasn't like sparks flying or anything like that. So I don't know. I'd like to see them just tighten that up. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a really cool MMO experience. I think it is going to be really big at first. A lot of people are going to go into it, and then I think it'll die down a little bit. But from what I've seen, it's really going to be the jump that people wanted from Skyrim to this MMO. So, if you guys have any questions or comments about Elder Scrolls Skyrim Online, or Skyrim Online, Elder Scrolls Online, leave it in the comment below. And we can kind of discuss it from there. Now, I'm sure there's going to be, over the next few months, lots of footage coming out, and this footage will kind of be expired, so to speak. But, I just wanted to cover a little bit of what I've seen about the game and kind of increase the awareness of Elder Scrolls Online and see if it's something you guys wanted to invest some time into. So, the next game I want to talk about, guys, is EverQuest Next. Now, this game is going to be in Norath. But it's going to have a whole new side of fiction to it, which is pretty damn cool. The thing that I like about the look of the game so far is a modified PlanetSide 2 engine is going to be used, heavily modified PlanetSide 2 engine, with some very stylized graphics. So for me, I really like the fact that it's going to have such a robust graphical system and is still going to be stylized to a point where it's not going for realism, and that kind of look ends up being timeless with MMOs. So Very cool with that. The levels are also going to have dynamic lighting, so you're going to be in a zone, and if you're in there for extended periods of time, it's going to cycle through the day cycle and go into night. And some areas that don't get a lot of moonlight might actually be pretty damn dark to see what's going on there. Um, so I'm liking the fact that the graphics look like they could be timeless and still have like rays of light pouring down, or there's this foggy kind of era in a zone that makes it look like it's very humid and like a very wet kind of jungle. So very cool with the way their look is going, and I'm looking forward to that. One of the things I'm really excited for too that they mentioned was the face cam emotes. So your character, you're going to be able to talk, make expressions, and if you have your camera on your face as a player, you're going to be able to reflect that with your character in game. And that's going to open up the game for like a lot of machinima episodes and things like that, or just providing totally different kind of experience for you and your party members or your guild. You know, you're going to be able to have conversations with them on like raid call or mumble, and it's going to look like you're actually talking to them. So very cool. One of the things I'm kind of on the fence about is they have something called heroic movements. And let's say you're jumping over a boulder, or you're jumping across a chasm or something like that, or a broken bridge. Your character is going to be auto jumping and auto dodging boulders and things like that. And they're going to do it in such a fashion that it looks like almost parkour, which is cool. I really like that. But I think in things that require more skill, like PvP or something, it's going to be, you know, it's going to take away from some of that, you know. Like, I think it's part of PvP where you want to be very situational. You know, like in a particular situation, you want to make sure that you have an escape route. You know where you're at, your awareness levels are up. That way you have like some kind of out or something in a fight. And if a character isn't as skilled as you, they might not be able to navigate that pile of rocks or something. But in this case, it looks like everyone will be moving at the same kind of rate over obstacles and stuff, which kind of takes away a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of on the fence about that. There's also going to be item movements and skill movements, like wizards are going to be able to warp. They're going to have boots of like gliding where you'll be able to like float down from a mountaintop onto you know whatever your target that you're trying to hit, so that way you don't take any fall damage or something, or you can traverse long areas by gliding with your magical boots. That's kind of cool. I like that, but I don't know about the auto movements throughout the world, so I think that might take away from things that are more skill based like PvP. But all that being said, I think it does look cool, so still on the fence about that. Now, the game is going to have multi-classing, so let me take a second to explain that. Okay, you might start off as a warrior, and throughout the game, you're going to be unlocking different classes. And you can do that with different weapons that you equip. Now, you can craft them. There's also going to be a pretty robust crafting system in the game. But you could also get the weapons for your warrior with loot. And let's say you get a magical sword. You might change how you play that class. And having over 40 classes in the game, you're by the time you start the game and you finish the game, and your story being told, let's say if you even can finish the game, you know, like end game content, your character class might be totally different from when you started the game. So I like the fact that that is, you know, how it can go down based on what kind of loot you either craft or get. Your character might be tremendously different as you play along, and you might be able to select a different kind of class that you like more than another as the game progresses and kind of focus on that. So very cool. I like that you can craft. A lot of people will be attracted to the crafting system. I know, for example, my brother is really into crafting in games, so that will really attract him to a game like this. So now let's talk voxel based. I mentioned that, and what basically is in this world of Norath, it's been created voxel based, and that means everything is destructible. Um, so let's say, you know, you want to blow up a bridge or something so bad guys can't get across. You can time it just right so that way the bad guys fall through the bridge as you break it. You can punch a hole in the environment. Now, One thing that they mentioned in the SOE conference was areas regenerate. And in typical MMOs, things would come back, like let's say 15, 20 minutes later, it would come back. I hope that that's not the case in this game. I hope it actually regenerates. Like slowly. Like over the course of 24 hours, that hole that someone punched in the earth grows back, over time. 24 hours. I mean, it is an MMO, and you don't want to have holes all over the world. So you have to add some kind of time-based timer on that for that to grow back, so to speak. Otherwise, if it takes longer, I mean, there could just be holes and everything's destroyed everywhere. And if it's too quick, it'll just I don't know, it could break the game, and I don't know. I don't like that kind of feature where you do a quest, you burn down a house, and 15 minutes later the house is back. There should be some kind of like time lapse kind of feature where they rebuild that house, so to speak, and you can actually see them adding on new walls, new windows, adding a door, then a roof, kind of a thing over time to rebuild a house that might have gotten burnt down. So we'll see what they do with that, and if they mention more about that in the future, we'll see. Now they also mentioned as being one of their holy grails the emergent AI in the game. So obviously different choices that you make in the game can affect the gameplay, but let me give you an example that they mentioned in the video. Let's say orcs wanted to rob you, okay? Now orcs wouldn't go near a city. They wouldn't go after a large party or something like that. They'll wait until they can actually catch you on a lonely road and try and take your money then. And that's the way the game kind of works. The game is constantly evolving based on where characters go, and it'll pick that lonely road. And the game server will release these orcs, and the orcs will flock to these lonely zones and set up checkpoints to try and rob, players that come by. So now other things might happen as well. Let's say no one comes on that road, and the choices that the server made. Actually affect the orcs' choices with making a roadblock, and they decide to make that into some kind of a camp or base. Things actually will evolve on the server to make things more difficult and attract more players to a more lonely spot. I thought that was pretty cool, and then also things like as you take out the orcs, it's not like 20 minutes later the orcs come back. It's the fact that the orcs camp that you took out, that you sent more guards to, or you and your squad or friends or group of friends went and quested and took out, is now gone. And then the orcs that are coming back in the world, yeah, they might go back to that same area at one point, but probably not. They're probably going to find a different spot and set up a new camp, that the server deems like a more lonely road or something. So I like the fact that once you take out a target or a quest or something, it affects the game, and not everything is in the same spot. I thought that was pretty cool. It'll make every server very unique and different from each other, and you're gonna have your experience on your server with your friends. So with that being said, a little bit more into the voxel based, there's going to be depth on levels. So let's say you're running from an enemy, whatever's coming at you, and the only way you can dodge them is to punch a hole in the earth and get out of there. That's what you do. But there might be a time where you punch a hole in the earth, instead of it being a tunnel or something that you dig. There's going to be some kind of a chamber you run into where there's some kind of awesome epic boss that you can fight and kill. And we're talking multiple layers in a level. So yeah, you have the surface level, which we're all used to in any MMO, but there might be caves and stuff that are under your feet that you just don't know. And you could just go exploring and digging and looking for these kinds of things, or maybe you decide to do it over like ruins or something like that. Someplace that would be more likely to have like a chamber instead of just randomly in the middle of the forest or something. I think that's going to add a whole new element to this game that's going to make it more enjoyable and attract a lot of new players. There's also something called Rally Call coming to this game, and that was one of their holy grails as well. It's group events that might take months to complete, and every server is different. Let's say you guys are working on a castle because there are enemies coming, and certain things that you do as your player or your group of players can trigger the next event, you know? If you're too busy working on your castle to get ready for a fortified defense, maybe the next thing you do after you complete your moat or your stone wall is some orcs come in and attack the neighboring villages. And these things will take, you know, lots of time to complete, which is part of your story in EverQuest Next. You're going to have these memories that you had on this one particular server over another server because the events that transpired are all different. There's no one server that's going to be the same. So you're going to be in a server and you're going to have different experiences than someone else might have had on their server, which again makes your experience in EverQuest Next very unique. They also mentioned epic boss fights. They showed an iron golem that was chasing a player, and the player took refuge inside of a building, and the iron golem just smashed the hell out of the building. And you know, you got to think about that kind of stuff. Maybe you can use it as a, you know, in between point to actually pass through the house and get out of there. And the boss thinks that you're still in there and smashes the building, or maybe you go for the basement and start digging your way out. So like I said, everything being voxel based, it can be destroyed. So every building, everything can be blown up. So you got to be careful of that kind of thing. I mean, the iron golem that was featured was like 4 stories tall. He looked enormous, and he was chasing this little guy. He had like no chance to actually survive that. So I think EverQuest is actually shaping up to be really awesome, and I'd like to see more on it to really decide if it's something I'm going to be getting into. I obviously don't think it'll be out this year, as they mentioned another title coming out this year that's going to be designed to help build the game. I think it'll be sometime in 2014 or even 15, maybe early 15. It's going to take some time. Now, to touch on that title that they mentioned that's coming out this year, they're releasing something called EverQuest Landmark. It's a building development tool that's going to help you, the player, build for EverQuest Next, and it's going to be like a fully functional MMO. And you're going to go through and you're going to claim your land, and you're going to be able to work on building a creation. You're going to be able to mine, chop down trees, get the resources you need to build your creation. And then you're gonna, you know, that's gonna be your creation and your contribution to EverQuest Next. Now, some of the things that they showed off with their powerful editor tool is that, yes, it's voxel based, and typically voxel based games are very square and cubed. This has a softening tool that allows you to round off and smooth edges off of squares to make, you know, like spheres and stuff. Or give like ruined castle stone like a certain kind of look that looks like it's actually been degrading over time, as opposed to just, you know, putting in squares and then you have like chunks missing and stuff, and it looks very square and blocky. You can size the actual voxel based square and make it smaller to fill in those holes and then smooth off those edges to actually make it look like it's stone that's degraded over time. So very cool. With that being said, you're going to be able to create stuff. Let's say they mentioned a tower or maybe a castle or some kind of a building. You can throw that up there on their, what they call their player studio, and let's say you can sell it. You can sell it for real money. And let's say people really like your castle and they decide that they want to plop your castle on their land or something like that, on their setup. Every time they use your castle, you earn a royalty. So let's say they plop down 2 of my castles. I'm going to earn royalty every time someone buys that person's content that use my castle. The more castles that are down, or the more towers or buildings that I created that they actually use, the greater the royalty is from the item that they sold, because most of the content I created. I thought that was pretty cool, and it's going to get a lot of people involved in the creation of this game. They also mentioned that their community is going to be very active for EverQuest Next. We're not talking monthly updates, we're talking constant updates. The devs are going to be communicating constantly with the community and releasing polls and stuff like that, and what people think about what they've developed so far. So it's really going to get the EverQuest Next community much more involved in this game. Like I said, I'm really excited to see more about this game. I think it looks very promising right now. And I'd like to see where it is, 6 months from now. I think there's going to be the potential for a lot of players to be really attracted to this game, because it has a lot of different features, and it's not that typical MMO model that's coming out. So a lot's going to be happening with EverQuest next, and it could be that game that's around for the next 10, 15 years because it's so radically different. So that's all I got. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little bit on EverQuest Next and Elder Scrolls Online. Kind of a different take covering some MMOs, but I wanted to make sure I talk about these games because there's a lot of hype around them right now, guys. So, all right, everybody, take care, and I'll see you guys next time.